Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we use the Triggator Triangle, budget, save, pay off debt, to help you build a spending plan that fits your life, grow your savings with purpose, and knock out debt with confidence. And today, we're talking about something that affects nearly everyone at some point. Cash flow. Because here's the truth, living paycheck to paycheck isn't just about income. It's about timing, planning, and margin. You can make six figures and still feel broke if your bills hit before your paycheck does. You can have a solid job and still feel stuck if your money disappears before you assign it. This episode is your guide to cash flow clarity, a practical look at how to lead your money with rhythm, timing, and purpose. We're going to walk through the difference between income and cash flow and why it matters, how to time bills, automate savings, and smooth out spending, how to use the Triggator Triangle to create margin, and what to do when your income is irregular or unpredictable. Because budgeting isn't about how much you make, it's about how you manage what you have. So whether you're paid weekly, biweekly, monthly, or whenever the client pays, this episode will help you stop surviving and start leading. Income versus cash flow. Why timing is everything. Let's start with a truth bomb. You can make good money and still feel broke. It's not just about how much you earn. It's about when you earn it, how you spend it, and what rhythm your money follows. That's the difference between income and cash flow. And if you've ever felt like your paycheck disappears faster than a plate of nachos at a Super Bowl party, you've felt the pain of poor cash flow. So what is cash flow really? Okay, so income is the amount you earn. Cash flow is how that income moves through your life. Think of your income like water in a tank. Cash flow is the plumbing. If the pipes are leaky, misaligned, or clogged, it doesn't matter how much water you have, it's not getting where it needs to go. In business, cash flow is king. Companies live and die by it. And guess what? So do households. According to a 2024 study by the Financial Health Network, 63% of Americans reported living paycheck to paycheck, even among those earning over $100,000 a year. That's not an income problem, that's a cash flow problem. The paycheck to paycheck trap. Let's talk about the trap. You get paid, you pay bills, you buy groceries, you fill up the tank, you grab takeout because you're too tired to cook, and then boom, your account balance is lower than your energy level on a Monday morning. Then the next paycheck hits, rinse and repeat. It's like living a financial version of Groundhog Day. Same cycle, same stress, same I'll do better next month. But here's the twist. You don't need more money to escape this trap. You need better timing. Let's say that your rent is due on the 1st, but you get paid on the 5th. That's a problem, not because you don't earn enough, but because your cash flow is misaligned. Or maybe your car payment, insurance, and student loan all hit in the same week. That week feels like a financial avalanche, even if the rest of the month is calm. This is where intentional planning comes in. You're not just budgeting, you're scheduling your money. It's like being the director of your own financial movie. You decide when the scene happens. You control the pacing. You make sure the plot makes sense. And if you don't, you'll end up with a horror flick called The Overdraft Chronicles. Remember that line from Friends when Joey says, "I'm not broke, I'm just between paychecks"? It's funny because it's relatable, and it's also a big red flag. Being between paychecks shouldn't feel like being underwater. If it does, your cash flow needs a reset. Let's look at some numbers. A 2023 Bankrate study found that 57% of U.S. adults couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. That same study showed that nearly 1 in 3 high-income earners, meaning those making over $150,000 a year, still live paycheck to paycheck. And According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, the average American household has over $1,200 a month in variable expenses. Things like groceries, gas, and entertainment that fluctuate and mess with your cash flow. These aren't just stats, they're signals. They tell us that income alone doesn't solve the problem. Flow does. The Triggator take. At Triggator, we don't just budget, we lead our money. And that starts with understanding how your money moves. So here's how to start. Map your income. When do you get paid? Weekly, biweekly, monthly, or is it sporadically? Map your expenses. What bills hit when? What ones are fixed? What ones are flexible? Match the rhythm. Align your spending plan with your income schedule, not the calendar. This is why we budget by paycheck, not by month, because life doesn't happen in 30-day increments. It happens in pay periods. As author and speaker Simon Sinek put it, dream big, start small, but most of all, start. Cash flow clarity is how you start. It's how you stop reacting and start leading. Income is what you earn. Cash flow is how you live. And if you want to stop living paycheck to paycheck, you don't need a raise, you need a rhythm. So take a look at your timing, run your numbers, and start leading your money. Because when your money flows with purpose, your life follows. Timing, automation, and the rhythm of life. If section 1 was about understanding the difference between income and cash flow, this section is about what to do with that knowledge. Because once you realize that your money stress isn't about how much you make, but how it moves, you can start building a rhythm that works for you in real life. And that rhythm, it starts with timing. Timing is a cash flow superpower. Let's say you get paid every other Friday. That's 26 paychecks a year. But your bills, they don't care. They show up monthly like clockwork. Rent, mortgage, student loans, insurance. Those all want their money on the 1st, the 15th, or whatever date they were assigned by the universe. And if you're trying to knock out a big bill like rent or mortgage with just one paycheck, that's a cash flow disaster waiting to happen. Here's the good news. You can fix this. And it doesn't require a raise. It just requires rhythm. The biweekly bill hack. Let's walk through one of my favorite cash flow hacks, especially if you're paid biweekly. Although this does also work when you're paid semi-monthly or weekly. You just need to do a few adjustments. Now, let's say your mortgage is $1,800 and is due on the 1st of every month. If your rhythm has been to pay that full amount from your second paycheck of the month, you're probably feeling the squeeze. So here's what you do. First, we're going to start with your first paycheck in August. Okay? We're going to assume that that's going to be on the 8th. And we're also going to assume that your mortgage is due on September 1st. Second, set up a direct deposit split if your employer allows it, or automate a transfer to a separate account, not your main checking. This transfer amount is going to be $900, and that is going to come out of each paycheck. So this means the one on August 8th and the other on August 22nd. Third, set your mortgage to auto draft from that account on the 1st. Boom. You've just smoothed out a major cash flow spike. Instead of one big hit, you've got 2 manageable bites. And the best part, it's on autopilot. No stress, no scrambling, no, it's the 1st again. Now here's where it gets really cool. The bonus paycheck effect. This works if you're paid biweekly, but it can also apply if you're paid weekly. But I'm going to give the example in biweekly. All right, we've already talked about this, how if you're paid biweekly, you get 26 paychecks a year. But most monthly bills are paid on 12 months. So really, by doing this split, you're planning for 24 pay periods. What does that mean? It means that twice a year, you get a bonus paycheck. And if you're using this split amount system, that's $900 extra sitting in that mortgage account twice a year. What could you do with that $900? You could pad your emergency fund. You could knock out a debt. You could save for a vacation. Or you can make an extra mortgage payment and shave years off of your loan. Now let's take this one step further. Let's add a student loan into the mix. Let's say you also have a $600 student loan payment. Let's apply that same strategy. $300 from each paycheck, sent to a separate account, and then auto-drafted on the due date. Now, coupled with your mortgage, you've got $1,200 extra twice a year. That's not just cash flow clarity, that's cash flow power. Why this works? So this hack, it works best for big bills, your mortgage, rent, student loans, insurance premiums. These are the ones that can wreck your cash flow if you try to knock them out with a single paycheck. Now, for smaller bills like streaming services, subscriptions, or utilities, the ideal rhythm is to fund them with the paycheck before they're due. That way, you're always one step ahead and never scrambling. But I know what you might be thinking, Nate, I have the perfect storm. I have more bills than paycheck. That is where the bill pay account comes in. Here's how you do it. And this is what I love. I do this personally. I use a separate checking account just for bills. When I get paid, I move the money I've assigned for bills into that account. Then I let automation take over. The bills are drafted from that account on their due date. No stress, no juggling, no oops, I forgot. And the best part, because I'm paying into that account, not directly to the bill, I can use any paycheck that I want. If my second half of the month is really bill heavy, I can fund some of those bills with my first paycheck. I'm not locked into a due date. I am in control of the rhythm. Automation is your best friend when it comes to cash flow because let's be honest, life is busy. Even though it's easy to log in and pay a bill, it's just as easy to forget. And when it comes to your bills, friction is not your friend. We talk a lot about spending friction, adding intentional pauses before you buy. But when it comes to paying bills, that's friction you don't need. Manual payments are a recipe for missed due dates and late fees. Here's how I automate my system. Set up a bill pay account. I recommend a checking account to avoid transfer limits and fees. Automate all your monthly bills to be pulled from this account. During your paycheck plan check-in, figure out which bills need to be covered with that check. Since we're paying into a bill pay account, not directly to the bill, you control the timing. If your second paycheck is overloaded, shift some bills to the first. You're the one in control here. Some people, they like to automate the transfer to the bill pay account too. That works great if your bills are very consistent, but I prefer to do it manually. Why? Because I like total control. Some months, I need $150 from the first check, $250 from the second. I want to decide that, not a rule I set and forgot. That's it. Once the money's in the bill pay account, the bills get paid. On time, every time, no stress, no surprises, just smooth, steady rhythm. Here's one for us Gen Xers. Remember those old infomercials for the Ronco rotisserie oven? Ron would take whatever he was cooking in the oven, slide it in, and then prompt the audience to repeat the tagline, say it with me if you remember, set it and forget it. That's the energy that we want with your money. You set it in your bill pay account and forget it. Because when your bills are timed by your schedule, and like we've talked about earlier, your savings are automated and your plan is on autopilot, you don't have to micromanage your money. You just lead it. A quick stat. According to a 2023 NerdWallet study, people who automate their savings and bill payments are 42% more likely to avoid overdraft fees and 67% more likely to stick with their financial goals. Why? Because automation removes friction. It turns good intentions into consistent action. Cash flow clarity isn't about cutting back. If you've been with us for a while, you know your spending reflects your values, and just slashing expenses isn't always the answer. It's about smoothing things out so your money flows with purpose, not panic. It's about building a rhythm that works with your real life, not against it. So time your bills, automate your savings, break big expenses into bite-sized chunks, and let your money move with purpose. Because when your cash flow is calm, your life is too. Creating margin with the Triggator Triangle, even when income is irregular. Let's talk about margin, the breathing room in your finances, the space between what you earn and what you spend, the difference between I'm okay and I'm one flat tire away from disaster. And here's the truth. You don't need a raise to create margin. You need a system. And that's where the Triggator Triangle comes in. If you've been with us for a bit, you know the Triggator Triangle is made up of 3 sides: budget, spend with a plan; save, build peace of mind; pay off debt, eliminate the anchor. Each side supports the others, and when they're in balance, your money starts working for you, not the other way around. But when your income is irregular, that triangle could feel like it's wobbling on one leg. So let's fix that. Step 1, budget by paycheck, not by month. If your income is unpredictable, like you're a freelance, commission-based gig worker, or it's just inconsistent, monthly budgets definitely do not work. They assume consistency, and you don't have that. So instead, build a paycheck plan every time money comes in. Here's how. List your income. Use your lowest expected amount as your baseline. Cover your 4 walls: food, shelter, utilities, transportation. Assign every dollar. Remember, budgeting is a verb. You're giving every dollar a job. Use a buffer. If you've earned more than expected, don't just spend it. Assign it to savings or into your next plan. This is how you lead your money, even when it's unpredictable. Here's a quick pro tip if you have unpredictable income. Build a buffer fund. A buffer fund is like a shock absorber for your cash flow. It's not your emergency fund. It's not your alligator fund. It's a mini reserve that smooths out the bumps between paychecks. Start with 1 week of expenses, then build to 2. Eventually, you'll be able to live off of last month's income, and that is the ultimate cash flow win. Step 2, save with intention. When your income is inconsistent, sometimes saving, it can feel impossible. But it's not about the amount, it's about the habit. Use your peace of mind funds to create some more margin. Remember, that's your emergency fund. You're going to set your goal, whether it's that $500 start, then that $1,000, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months of expenses, all the way up to 6. Those are your goals. Your alligator fund, those non-monthly expenses like car repairs, holidays, or school fees. Your fun fund, because joy is part of the plan too. Even if you can only save $10 a paycheck, do it. You're building rhythm, and rhythm builds resilience. We've talked about this stat before, but I want to bring it up again because it's that important. In a 2024 study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, households with at least $500 in emergency savings are 46% less likely to rely on credit cards or payday loans during a financial shock. Translation, even a small cushion can keep you out of the debt spiral. Step 3, pay off debt with direction. When income is tight or unpredictable, debt can feel like a weight that you'll never shake. But here's the secret. You don't have to pay it all off at once. You just have to move in that right direction. Use the debt battle plan from the Triggator ebook. Remember, that is available for download at Triggator.com. What you're going to do is you're going to list your debts from smallest to largest or highest to lowest interest. By doing that, you're choosing your method, whether it's snowball or avalanche. I like to also throw in a custom option if you have an emotional debt that you really want to get rid of. Then make the minimum payments on everything. And whatever the first debt on your list is, pick that debt and attack it with any extra money that you can find, even if it's just $10. And remember, snowflakes, they matter. That $25 refund, that's a snowflake you can throw at your debt. That $40 side hustle payout, snowflake. That creates massive momentum. Creating margin, it's not about perfection. It's about direction. It's about using the Triggator Triangle to lead your money, one paycheck at a time. Even if your income is unpredictable, even if your expenses feel overwhelming, even if you've failed before. Because when you spend with a plan, save with intention, and pay off debt with direction, your money finds balance, and so do you. You've made it to the end of Cash Flow Clarity. And if you're still here, you're not just interested in budgeting, you're ready to lead your money with rhythm, timing, and purpose. Today we covered how income and cash flow are not the same thing, how to time your bills and automate savings to smooth out stress, and how to use the Triggator Triangle to create margin even when your income is unpredictable. Because living paycheck to paycheck isn't a character flaw, it's a cash flow issue. And now you've got the tools to fix it. Today, your challenge is to run a rhythm check on your cash flow. Look at your last 2 paychecks and your upcoming bills. Ask, am I trying to pay too much from one check? If so, split a big bill across 2 paychecks and move the money into a separate bill pay account. Bonus, set up automation so your bills pay themselves, on time, every time. You don't need more income, you need better flow. Got a cash flow win, a paycheck rhythm that's working for you, or a bill pay hack that has changed your life? Email me at podcast@Triggator.com. Or you can message me on Instagram, Facebook, or X at Triggator. If this episode helped you, make sure you follow the show because, as Sammy Hagar once said, you miss a beat, you lose the rhythm. Leave a review, especially if this helped you stop the paycheck panic. Share this episode with a friend who's tired of the stress and ready for clarity. And don't forget to follow at Triggator on X, Facebook, and Instagram for more tips, tools, and behind-the-scenes content. Coming up next time, from frustration to fixes, how to rebuild a spending plan that works. Ever feel like your budget should be working, but it's not? You're not alone. In our next episode, we'll help you recognize the signs that your spending plan needs a reset. And I'll walk you through a practical mindset-first rebuild using, you got it, the Triggator Triangle. You'll learn how to simplify, stabilize, and strengthen your plan without shame, without overwhelm, and without starting from scratch. Because breakdowns aren't failures, they're feedback, and we'll help you rebuild with clarity. Remember, cash flow clarity isn't about perfection, it's about direction. When you lead your money with rhythm and purpose, you don't just survive the month, you take control of it. Because when your money flows with intention, your life follows. Thanks for listening to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. We'll see you next time.